Hey, this is Alli Kerr, women's fitness expert, and my topic for today, I had a little technical difficulties. That's the great thing about going live. So I just tried to go live a few seconds ago, and I had a weak connection, so I had to get to a stronger connection, and now we are going live. And I'm excited about this broadcast. This actually comes from Kimberly, today's topic, and Kimberly emailed me, and she said, my biggest struggle is my midriff or belly fat, i.e. belly fat. And I've heard this one before. This is a big struggle. And especially for us ladies, and especially for us ladies that are like late 30s or 40s and older, when our hormones start changing, we definitely start noticing a difference in the midsection. And we're not crazy, ladies. It really does happen. There really are some changes going on there. And I'm going to talk about, today we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about the types of belly fat, because there are different types, and a lot of people don't realize that. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about why we get it and how that changes throughout life. And then my favorite part, the best part, we're going to talk about how do we get rid of it. That's what everybody wants to know, is how do we get rid of it. So don't worry, we're going to get to that as well. And if you're just joining in, we are going live here, and we're talking about why us ladies get belly fat, and guys, because guys get it too, the different types of belly fat, what we can do to get rid of it. And if you notice, I'm wearing this cool, awesome hat, and I'll tell you more about this hat later, because there's a story behind my hat. So I'm so excited, and I'm loving my hat, and I'll tell you more about it. So yes, give me a thumbs up if you like my hat. If you think I'm rocking the hat. Thanks, I appreciate the thumbs up. And thanks y'all that are tuning in. I see several of y'all joining the broadcast. Our broadcast today is all about the belly, ladies, especially for you guys too. Y'all deal with this belly fat thing too. And one thing I found out about Facebook is that they look at, when they're deciding whose videos to show and how many views things get, they look at the thumbs up and the loves and the shares. So I'm always so thankful to y'all that are giving those thumbs up and the likes and the shares, and when you're going and sharing it with your friends, because I know you ladies have some other lady friends that are worried about their bellies, or maybe some of those ladies struggling with menopause. So definitely share this with them. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump right in, and let's talk about the two types of fat that we get in our bellies. So there's two types. The first one is subcutaneous fat. And that's a big word for that squishy fat. When you pinch your skin or your belly and you feel the squishy fat, that's the subcutaneous fat. That fat lays right under the skin, and that's what most of our body fat in our bodies is made up of, that subcutaneous fat. About 90% of our body fat is from that type of fat. So we can see it. That's typically where we notice changes, and we're gaining body fat. Then we have this other kind of body fat, and it's called visceral fat, and that's the tricky fat. And we're going to talk about visceral fat, and it's actually not the nicest of fats, and we're going to talk about, that's the one that makes our belly pooch out. So that visceral fat, we've got the subcutaneous that lays right under the skin. We can squeeze it. And then we've got, in our bellies, we've got our, and I'm going to stand up a little bit, point to my belly, we've got the abdominal wall. So below the subcutaneous fat, we've got muscle there. And then below that muscle, we have, of course, our organs and intestines, but we also have visceral fat, and that's where that visceral fat is stored. And we also have a flap under there that kind of protects our organs and our intestines. And as we start getting to a certain age, we start gaining more fat in that visceral fat area and start storing more there. And that makes our belly pooch out and poke out. And it's not like fat you can necessarily squeeze, although of course a lot of us are gaining that as well. Just, as time goes on, our metabolism changes, and so we're gaining more fat under the skin. But then we're also gaining that deep fat that we can't squeeze and we can't feel, but we can definitely see the effects of it when our belly's sticking out. That fat is not fun. So one of the things that I like to call the visceral fat, we talked about before in another video, carbs, fat, and protein, and which one is the devil. Well, so today I'm going to label visceral fat the devil. So that's going to be the devil, just because of what it does for us ladies, and it makes our bellies poke out. And before I get to that, I just want to say thank y'all for tuning in on a Friday afternoon. I was thinking about doing this Facebook Live, and I was like, who's going to be tuning in on a Friday? So I'm so glad that y'all are tuning in on Friday, because I think this is going to be a very helpful thing for a lot of us ladies. For those of y'all that are just joining, I keep seeing people join in. We're talking about belly fat, the 2 different types, and what we can do to get rid of it and why we get it. So let's talk about visceral fat and why it's the devil. For one reason it's the devil is because it makes our belly pooch out. And it does not look cute, ladies, when our belly's pooching out. We don't like that. And that is because of that deep visceral fat. Now it can also be of some of the subcutaneous fat as well. But especially when we start getting a little bit older, we start storing more visceral fat, and that becomes something that we just don't like the look of. So that's one reason it's a bad thing. We don't like the way it looks. Another thing about visceral fat is it can actually trigger inflammation. So the more of it we have, it can actually trigger inflammation. There's been studies on different types of health issues, and they are looking at how does visceral fat relate to that. So I'm going to kind of go through just a couple of those, because it was really fascinating when I was studying and when I've been learning. I've been looking at belly fat, and because I work with women and studying it for a long time and doing lots of research. So I'm sharing with y'all some of the really fascinating things that I've learned through my research and what I've learned in working with lots of women, and what I see that works to help change all that. And Julie, thanks for tuning in. She said, thanks for y'all's comment. She said, that is honing me. Belly fat is honing me. She's working on it, though. Well, thumbs up to you for working on it, and we're going to help you today work on it some more. One of the things that the researchers have found, that they looked at women and people in their 40s and above, and the ones that had more abdominal fat were nearly 3 times more likely to develop dementia and different forms of dementia. So that is a big deal, that it can actually affect things going on all throughout our body. And that was research done by Kaiser. There was also a study done, there's been some studies that have linked increases in that belly stomach fat to increases in breast cancer, colorectal cancer, asthma, high blood pressure, and lots of other things. So it can definitely affect us when we start gaining weight and extra weight in the belly area. Even though, and I was actually talking to a client today, and she told me this, she's 44, and she was telling me that she has noticed that her weight has not changed, but her body has changed. And that is a very common thing that we see, that with women, sometimes their weight may not change, however, they're seeing a change in their belly. And the reason for that is while they're gaining fat and their body is changing, they may also be losing muscle and bone, and so their weight on the scale may not be changing. But man, when we are looking in the mirror, we are saying something's different here. This is not how this used to look, and I'm not liking it. And so that is a very real fact. Your weight does not have to change in order for your body to change. It's very possible for your weight and your size to stay the same, but your body to look completely different, especially in the belly. And one of the things, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of give y'all a little tune in on my hat, and then we're going to talk about why we get belly fat. So if y'all didn't notice, I'm wearing this cool hat today, and I want to give a shout out and a big thumbs up and a big hug and thank you to Lacey, who was one of our ladies at the Pink Physique, my gym in Macon, if any of y'all are in Macon or Middle Georgia area. And Lacey actually made me this hat and left it for me, and she left me this sweet note. So I just wanted to give, and I don't know why I'm saying Lacey, I mean Logan. Hey Logan, sorry. Logan gave me this hat and made it and left it on my desk. And it's Friday, y'all. I'm sorry, it happens. Friday, and it's been a long week. So sorry about that, Logan. You know I know who you are, and you know I love you, and I'm still giving you 2 big hugs now because I said your name wrong. But Logan gave me this hat, and here's what she said, and she's getting married, so thumbs up to Logan, and we're so excited, and I can't wait to see pictures of the big day. So she said, Alli, I cannot express just how thankful I am to you and all the ladies at Pink Physique. I've made new friends who are all encouraging me and have regained long-lost confidence, yay, in myself. I look forward to walking down the aisle and knowing I look great. I know it's too hot now, but when the weather cools off or whatever it does, you can rock your pink hat. Well, I'm already rocking my pink hat, Logan, so there you go. and I can't wait to wear it when it's cold because I'm very cold natured. Thanks for all your support, and she's looking forward to continue to lose weight. Well, we're looking forward to helping you continue to lose weight. So I wanted to give her a shout out and thank you for my awesome pink and black hat. So I'll be wearing this a lot. And back to our belly fat topic. All right, ladies, why do we get belly fat? Big question. There's several reasons, and some of these are really fascinating. I can't wait to tell y'all my favorite one. So one we hear of and we think of genes, our genetics. So some of us are maybe a little bit more inclined to gain weight in our belly. Some of us, we all have different shapes. Some of us tend to gain more weight in our hips and thighs, and some of us are just tend to gain more weight in our bellies and our chest, and we may not have a lot going on in the hips and thighs area. And that can start when we're teenagers. Now, when we get older into our 40s, 50s, and beyond, we start gaining more weight in the upper body. So if you're one of those ladies who already carries more weight just genetically in your upper half, then, you know, it's even a double whammy when you start getting into that menopausal age and your hormones start changing and you start gaining more weight in the upper body. For those ladies who are more of a pear shape, so they've always had that small waist and they've gained more weight in their hips and their thighs, they're like, what is going on? I've never had a belly before. I've always had this little waist, bigger. Everything's always gone to my hips. So now I've got big hips, big thighs, and I've got this belly showing up. So what in the world's going on? So genetics and our body shape is going to play a role into where we initially store fat. And then the second factor is hormones. So as our hormones start changing, we all of us ladies tend to gain more of that visceral fat, and visceral fat is in our belly. So we're going to start gaining. Even if we are more of a pear shape and we've always had that small waist, our belly's going to start changing. Very frustrating, but we're going to talk about how to fix it, so hang on. Another thing is age. As we get older, we start to lose more muscle. We start to replace that with more squishy fat, either the subcutaneous kind and the visceral kind. So that's a part of aging. And also aging, hormone changes come with aging. So those two things go hand in hand. This one now, I bet you didn't know this one because I was shocked when I learned that this is one of the reasons we get belly fat. How about this? Are y'all ready for this? If you, as a baby, had a lower birth weight, you are more likely to gain more belly fat when you're older. Lucky for me, I was a chunky baby. Sorry, Mom. I was a big, chunky baby. But if you were a small baby, it doesn't mean it's going to necessarily happen. But studies have shown that children, babies with smaller birth weight, tend to gain more belly fat when they're older. So that was something I just was shocked to find out. Another thing that is kind of an interesting thing is women who have had children are more likely to gain more weight in the belly area than women that have not. All right, so now we're kind of like, great. Well, maybe you've had babies. You can't undo that. You can't undo your birth weight, right? We can't change our genes and our body shape. We can't change those things. We can't change the fact that we're getting older. That's just part of life. It happens. And we can't change the fact that our hormones are going crazy as we do age. Yes, and I like Danetta's comment. She said, that explains it. Exactly. So, what do? What can we fix? We can't fix our genes. We can't fix our hormones. We can't fix our age. We can't fix our birth weight. We can't go back into our mama's belly and eat more and become a fatter baby so that we can prevent that. And if we've already had children, we can't change that, and hopefully we don't want to. So there are some things that we can change, and that is the good news, and that's one of the things I'm so excited to talk about. And again, I see people just joining in, and I want to say thanks y'all so much for joining in and just watching this Facebook Live broadcast. We're talking about belly fat and why we get it and what the problems are with it and how we can get rid of it. And if you're noticing my cool hat, I want to thank my girl Logan for giving me this awesome hat. She made it by hand, and I'm so not crafty, so I'm so jealous, so thank you to her. And thank y'all for the thumbs up, the loves, and the shares. Please share this with your friends. All right, y'all ready to get down to what we can change? Let's talk about it. Let's do it. Let's get this done. So here's what we can change, ladies. One of the things that we can change is our sleep patterns to a certain extent. Now, I know there are some, and the menopause and hormones can affect that. However, some of us, there are some things we can change about our sleep. We can change things like needlessly staying up longer than we need to on our electronic devices, unless of course you're watching this, Facebook Live late at night or something like that. That might be a worthy reason to stay up. But no, I know I'm sitting there sometimes, I'm guilty scrolling through my phone when I'm so tired, I'm exhausted, and I know I could go to sleep, but man, I might miss out on something. So that is one of the things we can do to change, is get more sleep. Studies show that those that are getting, if we're getting less than 5 hours, we are going to gain more belly fat. That's what the research shows, that there's a higher chance of us gaining more belly fat. So one thing we can control is getting our Z's. That's one of the first things. One of the things to think about with visceral fat, a lot of times we think of, I could go get liposuction and just suck that fat out. Here's the unfortunate news about the visceral fat, is you can't suck that fat out. You can liposuction out some of the subcutaneous fat that's right under the skin, but that deep fat, so that's not one of the ways to get rid of that deep belly fat. Another thing we can do is not smoke. So, and sorry if you are a smoker. However, that increases your visceral fat, that deep, devilish fat that's so evil that makes our belly pooch out. Smoking increases it. Sorry. I know there's so many other things that negatives about smoking too, but that is one. Another thing that we can change is, sometimes we can change it. I think there are definitely ways we can change it. So I'm going to say we can definitely change this. Our moods, stress level and mood. If we have a sense of hostility all the time and that depressive type symptoms, that is going to, that increases that deep belly fat. Looking at having a more positive outlook, looking at the glass half full, not glass empty, it can take work. I'm not going to say that that's easy always, because there's times that we get stressed. We all get stressed. I get stressed. We get moody. We're happy. And then when hormones start changing for us ladies, it just really exacerbates that and makes us just even more stressed out. But anything that we can do to help our mood, that we can do to de-stress, whether it be meditating or prayer or exercising or doing some kind of just doing a gratitude list, just writing down something that you're grateful for every day, that can actually help us lift our mood, which is going to actually help our belly. So how about that one? All right, so now let's get to these other ones. Exercise. I know that's a big shocker. Exercise is one of the things that we can do. It can also lift our mood, but it's one of the things that we can do to burn some of that fat. Here's the good news about subcutaneous fat, that fat right under the skin, and the visceral fat, the deep fat. Exercise helps us burn that, so we can actually burn it. It's not like one of those things that we just absolutely can't get rid of. There are ways that we need to exercise to get rid of it. And one of the things that many of us do wrong, or that's just not as helpful, is we go and we do belly exercises, lots of them, because we're like, oh, I want to get rid of my belly, so what am I going to do? I'm going to do belly exercises. Belly exercises, those targeted exercises for the belly, don't get rid of that visceral fat and even the subcutaneous. Here's a kind of a, I hate to say newsflash, but it's a newsflash for a lot of us. Targeted belly exercises don't burn as many calories. They're not as metabolically stimulating as a lot of other exercises you can do. So when you exercise, you want to be getting the biggest bang for your buck. And you don't want to waste a lot of time doing exercises that aren't, because that's some tricky fat to get rid of. So you really want to come at it with something that's going to affect it. And targeted belly exercises, doing crunches and things, you're not burning a lot of fat doing those. You're not burning a lot of calories doing those. Now, granted, it's better than sitting on the couch and, just eating junk food. You're burning more calories than that. But to really get that belly fat gone, it's not the most effective way to do that. We're actually going to be offering a 28-day menopause belly shrink program at the Pink Physique, and it starts next week, and I'll be telling y'all a little bit about that too, and I'll post a link for that. We're not going to have ladies sitting there doing a bunch of crunches in this program. We're going to be using the science that works to really hone in and get to that stubborn fat and burn it and get rid of it. With exercise, not only can you burn that visceral fat, the good news is you can keep it off if, drum roll, if you keep exercising. If you don't keep exercise, if you just do it for a little bit and then you stop, then you're not going to keep those benefits. However, if you do keep exercising and you're consistent, you can get rid of it and you can keep those results. So that's one of the good news things about the visceral fat and belly fat. Of course, eating is the other thing we have to mention. That's something that we can control. We can control exercise and we can control eating. And eating in the right balance, protein, carbs, and fats, which we talked a little bit about before, is going to absolutely make a huge difference. Many times people ask me, what's the best, everybody wants to know, what's the best belly exercise? And I'm going to have a kind of a smart answer, but I always say it's fork to mouth. The fork to mouth exercise is the best belly exercise. We are what we eat. So what we're putting in our mouths is going to directly affect what we look like in our belly area. And as we go through hormonal changes and as we age, we have to change the way we eat, especially us ladies, so that we don't store more of that belly fat. Visceral fat also makes our insulin, it increases insulin resistance. So we definitely have to change the ways that we eat if we're not eating in the proper balance, protein, carbs, and fats. One of the other interesting finds that I've found, and this was a study at University of Alabama, they actually found that women that get more calcium tend to have less visceral fat. So that's another thing for us to look at, ladies, is how much calcium are we getting. Just nutrients in general, of course, you know, all the vitamins and nutrients and eating things. Again, that fork to mouth is such an important thing. Every time we pick up that fork or pick up that hand and put it to our mouth, we're making a choice and a decision about the quality and the balance of the food that we're putting in our mouth, and that's going to directly affect what happens in this belly, along with how much we move. Even if you're not exercising a lot, most of us just need to move more. And that's another thing that they've done studies on with belly fat. The more we move, the less fat we store, whether it be subcutaneous fat or that deep visceral fat. So moving. Whatever you need to do to move more, if it be a tracker, some kind of armband tracker to track your steps, or, you know, keeping a log, or just making sure that you're doing some kind of concerted exercise or movement. Not just exercise, but everything we do every day when we're walking from the car to the store, when we're deciding, should I take the elevator or should I take the stairs? All those little things add up every single day, and the more we move, the less belly fat we're going to have. And I want to, again, just for those of y'all that are just joining us, I see some people are still just joining in. I want to say thanks to Lacey for my awesome hat that she made me by hand, which I'm so impressed with. And thanks for y'all for the likes and the shares. And I'm saying Lacey again, and I know it's Logan. I'm telling y'all, it's Friday. I don't even know what to say. I have no excuse. Logan, you can just like punch me in the face next week when you see me. I don't know. I have no excuses other than it's Friday. Okay, so Logan made me this awesome hat, and hey, Lady John said hey to you. We're talking about belly fat, the ways we can get rid of it, what we can do for it. I also appreciate y'all sharing this Facebook Live with your friends and your other guys and gals that might have some belly fat, or maybe struggling with menopause, or just friends that you know we all are struggling with that belly area. I'm also we have a program for those of y'all that are in the Middle Georgia, Macon area. It's pretty much, I'm thinking, the last time I checked, I feel like we're full, but I'm going to open two spots for our program. It starts next week. It's the 28-day Menopause Belly Shrink Program. It's here in Macon if you are local at the Pink Physique, and 2 spots for people that see this Facebook Live and mention it. I'm going to allow 2 folks from this Facebook Live to get spots in that program. And I'll post a link above this when I get done with the video. When I get done with the broadcast, I'll go in and I'll post a link about that program so you can learn more about it and grab one of those 2 spots, ladies, not 3, just 2. So grab one of those. And thank y'all so much for joining me. Remember, things we can do to change it: move more. Definitely do some resistance training, ladies, not just cardio. That's going to burn more fat in the belly. Remember, we got 2 kinds, the subcutaneous and the visceral. The visceral is the one that we don't like so much. Well, we don't like the subcutaneous either, but we definitely don't like the way the visceral makes our bellies look. So let's get on it. Let's get at it. We got the weekend. Think about what you're putting in your mouth today, how much you're moving, especially when you are eating more. Make sure you're out walking, moving. And if you're interested in our 28-day menopause belly shrink program, where we use the latest research on how to burn the most fat, we give you a done-for-you meal plan to follow. If you're in the local area, I'm opening up 2 spots, and I'll post the link above. Thanks so much for joining me, and thanks for talking belly fat, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.